It's April 2023. Let's see what's going on in the garden. Well, spring has absolutely sprung on the garden. This is one thing I am super proud about. This month, my wildflower front garden is absolutely so happy. These are seeds that I had sprinkled in the wintertime, and then we had an absolute torrential rain of the winter. We had an atmospheric river, and this is the result. This spot a year ago was lots of dirt, lots of weeds. There's still some weeds in there, but luckily it's mostly overrun with beautiful, mostly native California wildflowers. I'm so happy about these poppies. There's some calendula up there which aren't native, but most everything else should be California natives. I'm a little bit annoyed. I did go out of my way to choose a California wildflower mix, and it wasn't until later that I discovered that some of these are not necessarily California natives, but maybe not California invasive. Maybe that's put it like, maybe it's better to put it that they're not invasive to California, but they do really well. And everything, let's see, I won't even know what kind of wildflowers these are, but I think these are bachelor's buttons, you know, the California poppies. Those are the kind of like African daisies up there, those little fuzzy guys. There's calendulas. These are, I think, Iceland poppies that are gonna come out here. I'm really excited about those. Some lupins. I didn't even realize these had flowered, but you can see they must have flowered and they're already gone to seed. Not as many lupins this year as I would have liked, but hey, I can't complain too much. And you can see it's just spilling over into all of these areas at the front. So this part of my yard, if you've watched other videos, this is considered parkway. This is technically city property, even though it's in front of my house and we're kind of tasked to maintain it. So what better way to do that than with wildflowers that are drought tolerant, native to your area, and are gonna make an incredible showstopper in the spring. So you can kind of see where we stopped. I'm sure I could have spread the seeds further, and I probably will next year. But this is just, I've had one friend describe this year as weedtopia, so there's a lot of weeds. And again, a lot of this is the result of all the rains that we had this year. I was talking to someone who is a expert in habitat restoration, and they said that sprinkling wildflower seeds is not enough. You also really have to go after the weeds. So I made a huge effort to pull as many weeds as I possibly could, and I just didn't have the energy for this area. Our neighbors used to have a gardener who did it. We since have new neighbors, and that area is just not looked after at all. We might come in with our weed whacker, but that doesn't take care of the seed issue, unfortunately. These kind of weeds, even if you whack them, those seeds spread everywhere. So pulling weeds seems to be the best bet, pulling from the taproot if you want to restore an area like this. And yeah, unfortunately that's really time consuming. But hey, if it means that you get a yard like this, then all the better for it. So let's move along down the sidewalk. I've replanted some agaves here. I think I mentioned that in the last video, how I had 2 agave blue flames. One did not take. I've put some other agaves in here. I think I've done too many agaves. This smaller one, I think it doesn't like as much direct sunlight as it's getting. So I think I might pull that out and just keep it to, I mean, even these are gonna get huge. They're small now, so that'll have to be thought about somewhat. Yeah, everything is just in crazy in bloom, and really happy with all the rains that we have had. I don't think we have turned on the water since November. So a lot of this area, I do have a drip system installed, and you can actually see the pipes there. We have not turned it on. It hasn't needed it. Now I think these poppies are starting to get a little bit dried out, so we might turn on the dripper now because the rains have stopped. It's starting to warm up again. And just to make everything a little bit happy. Everything's a little bit wild, which I kind of like it going on. Here's some more of those wildflowers. These ones are a little bit more in the shade. There's not many poppies came through this. And over here, as you can see, it's a little bit more weedtopia going on. So we have agave foxtail, which has run its course. They are, of course, monocarpic. It was full of flower and bees since November is when it started, but it'll be time to cut that out of here soon. The nasturtiums, which are kind of weedy and non-natives, but do a nice job of kind of covering the ground and keeping a little bit of that morning moisture in. So I will start to pull those back pretty soon. Probably next month they'll start to dry out. You can see they start to get yellowed and finish up. But for now they're okay. I tried to make an effort to thin them out and I think it's helped. But again, this is like the running joke. Here is the non-existent dry riverbed that I keep saying I'm gonna do. I've been making an effort to collect some rocks. I just need to come out there some weekend and do it. The last time I was here as well, a lot of these aloes that are now in bloom had just little hints of bloom. They are fully in bloom. They are looking so good. This is a hummingbird favorite, so we do love those. And these are little aloe blue elves. They are in bloom. And the kalanchoe is done. I do need to pull those out. Those are monocarpic, so as you can see, once those bloom out, they death bloom. But if you take a look at all those little babies that are under there. So that's the thing with monocarpic plants. They do tend to just have all these babies, and these ones in particular drop. They're also known as mother of thousands, as you can see why. It just has all these little baby plants that will drop and grow new plants. The aeonium, they haven't gone dormant yet. I think if we start running the irrigation again, they'll probably stay pretty happy. As the summer goes on, they will start to dry up and close up. You can start to see it happening a little bit with these ones. They are also the type of plants, they're this lovely red maroon color. When they get lots of direct sun, when they're in the shade, they'll turn fully green. And if they have a little bit of, so here you can see this one where it's starting to close up and go a little bit dormant, but that color is just amazing. I believe those are Aeonium voodoo. There's the blue flame looking really spectacular. Moving along here to my path. The rock purslane is completely in bloom, and like, look at the color of those. They just have phenomenal blooms. And they do start to look a little bit raggedy towards the summertime, and this is a plant that does really well when you cut it way back and then it comes back again. I've created a little bit of an aeonium garden here. There's a bunch of different aeoniums that I've honestly got for free from other places, usually neighbors that have left them out, or other aeoniums that I have thinned back and replaced here. And so that looks really good. There's another, this is another aloe blue elf, and this is an aloe that I actually found broken on a bike path and planted right here. So that little aloe garden's looking well. The Pride of Madeira, which is the thorn in my side. This is a volunteer. It is huge. It's too big. I think this is the last year it's gonna be here. I do let it bloom out because it is one of the pollinators' favorites. So I hate getting rid of plants that pollinators like. If you look kind of carefully on there, you'll see there's a ton of bees. So I don't like getting rid of flowering plants when it's pollination season. So I think once those die off, I'm probably gonna remove that plant completely to give this much more of our Agave Aloe Aeonium look here. So here's the little other Agave Aloe corner that I redid. This was full of ginger. I finally managed to pull them out. This is a campfire plant that it was monocarpic, and those are all the babies that were left over. That was like a clearance plant from Home Depot. This is an interesting aloe. I didn't realize they sort of knock themselves over and then all their babies come out. So I have a bunch of those that came from my mom's yard and planted up here. And actually, if I get in here a little bit, I need to do some work here because those nasturtiums are taking over. I have a little torch cactus that is not getting enough sunlight. Some more agaves and aloes. The euphorbia sticks on fire is always a showstopper. They are so happy here because they get so much direct sunlight, and they stave off the gophers. And yeah, it looks like a little bit of a coral reef here. So this was a torch lily. I'm gonna totally forget what the actual, that was another like Home Depot clearance plant. I thought I killed it. It's finally coming back. I think it'll be okay. I obviously have a lot of weeding to do here. I've got some more aloes that were left out in a neighbor's yard, and just everything's looking a little bit overgrown. So this is the result of lots of rain and now finally some spring weather. So here's another angle of these kalanchoe that are dying to be cut back. But as you can see, all the little babies that have fallen off of their leaves. Aloe cameronii, they're still pretty green because they got so much rain. They'll go really beautiful and red when they're stressed out. As some people I know cut them on purpose so that they'll go nice and red. So that's one thought to do. They were also from my mom's yard. She had one that just got way overgrown. The Senesio's happy. The Aeonium kiwis are happy. This is a euphorbia. Again, I mentioned it in the last video. I found this as a little tiny stick found on the ground at Home Depot. I picked it up, propagated it, and it has turned into this whole beautiful plant. And I have to say, for a free plant, I'm pretty happy with that one. I did have a euphorbia spurge here that I really liked, and it was overrun with scale and completely destroyed. So nice to have that there. And here is where the weeds, if you don't stay on top of them, they take over. This, I don't know if you can see this. It was really cute and cottagey, my little trail, and I just let it get overrun. Obviously we had some wildflowers that were in there, and everything is just really overrun. So I do have a job of doing some weed clearing, and then yeah, just putting everything back together before the weeds drop. I mean, it's too late. They've dropped so many seeds, so it's going to be weed central again next year. But you know what? It's spring. It looks kind of beautiful. Gardens go through phases. We just have to deal with it. The only unfortunate part is when these nasturtiums get overpowering, they tend to put a lot of plants in the shade that usually would have direct sunlight. As you can see, it's really shady in here now. And what happens is when I remove them, the plants not being used to the direct sunlight get sunburned. So that's the downside. So I've been trying to keep it a little bit thinned, but it's just completely gone overrun. Down here is a little succulent tapestry that I've been working on. I had to really fix it up. So the last time I did a video, it was like right after a rain. This tree, which I believe is a Victorian boxwood, it was all in flower. It smelled amazing. All those little flower petals fell down. It looked pretty for about a day, and then it rained on them and they turned to absolute mush, and they really did a number on some of these succulents. So these Fred Ives, you can kind of see the staining on a lot of them. I had to kind of really rejig this area, and I've since removed, there was a little water feature in there. I've since removed it because it wasn't big enough for the solar fountain that I had in there, and I need to really rethink that. So I do love the idea of a water feature, but I might need to get like a bigger pond type of thing. So for now, that's just an empty dirt hole. And this is Nasturtium Central. And we have another volunteer Pride of Madeira. These things grow so crazy fast. I don't even know what to do with it. But I do like the way this weedy plant has become part of the trail. We need to just really cut it back. So over here, my aeonium's really happy. My other little succulent tapestry is pretty happy here. This ice plant, it's all in bloom. Everything's just like a little bit overgrown and crazy right now. So as you can see, it gets to a point where I'm kind of ignoring that part and enjoying this wildflower part instead. So I've got a lot of like projects and things I need to work on there. Everything here is the same, pretty happy. My little cactuses. And over here, the succulent tapestry. These aeonium kiwis, they are just, aren't they amazing? Aren't they so beautiful? I've added a few more little succulents to the succulent tapestry, the little gnome garden. So that's looking pretty happy. Down here, I'm not sure if I talked about this in the last video. We have now got little fairy city. This is a project my husband really worked on. Oh my gosh. And what's really awesome is it looks like people in the neighborhood have added some more things. So after the rain, this stuff was really happy. It's kind of drying out so far. We've got some cute little fairy houses. The fairies falling down a little bit. We've got the pub. We've got lots of really cute things, and hopefully this will start to grow in. But yeah, it looks like other people in the neighborhood have added their own little gnomes, so I'm really happy about that. Peppa Pig lives here as well. So we live, this is our house. This is a kind of public sidewalk that cuts from our house to our parkway. So lots of families are walking around down here, walking dogs, going on scooters. So it's really fun to have a little cute little community place. So I'm really happy with that. A lot of these crassulas are starting to take off. Just that wet winter is exactly what succulents love. And as I was making this video, I got a little bit embarrassed because the neighbor was walking their dog. This is a corner I need to just fix up, but it's not looking too bad. Everything here we need to like fertilize. I have an avocado tree that's hopefully another project soon. And in the front, these pea bushes are just, they were getting so overgrown. I've cut them back. The lantanas are there, the weeds. And then all of our sunflowers that I planted almost 2 years ago in the hopes to get rid of the clay soil are finally sprouting up. So got some really cool sunflowers here, and a little bit of a raised bed. We've got some seed starts. The tomatoes are in. Lots to do. Here's another project. Is this hill's looking terrible, but this hill is looking phenomenal. I mean, I'm just so happy with how this is looking right now. It is so spring, and we've got, I did fling some poppy seeds in there a couple years ago. They're only finally blooming now. I don't know if you can see, there's like a big bumblebee. This is a Microsalvia hot lips. This is a non-native California. That's a rock rose, but is just going crazy right now. The ceanothus, most of the blooms have been spent. Yarrow, pelargonium, another rock rose, an amazing salvia, and actually looks like there's a little bumblebee up there having a snooze, and that's what we like to see because those are our native bees. Can you see that? Is he having a little sleep? So I had put in this little bumblebee house. I don't know if any of them have used it. The succulent wall is getting a little overgrown. We need to rethink that a bit. Oh my gosh, I've never seen it. Let's go check out the sleeping bee. Okay, I'm very quietly trying to check out that little bee there. Oh, it's not focusing, of course. And I say little bee, that guy's actually huge. Having a little snooze. on the salvia. I would say that bee is almost an inch long. I don't know how to like, he's getting a bit hoppy. What a cool bee. So those are like our native California bees. The little honeybees that we normally see, those are European honeybees. So while I love the bees and want to protect the bees, these guys are much more important to our local environment for biodiversity. They pollinate plants in a much more efficient way. So it's so cool to see native bees in my native garden. Very excited about that. The loquat tree is just laden down with fruit. Need to figure out what to do with loquats. So yeah, I didn't want to disturb the bee, but I'm come up here to the deck. We'll finish off this video soon. Here's all my little propagation projects, but look at this. Now, I usually hate ice plant, but I mean, look at that. This plant, I actually bought it 2 years ago. It was completely decimated by gophers. I managed to bring it back, and look at it now. So that's pretty exciting. The pelargonium is finally in bloom. That's the rose geranium. Pelargonium smells amazing. We've got the buckwheat is just going crazy up there on this hillside. So I'm very excited about this hillside. And I think I'm gonna do a video just specifically on this hillside, hopefully very soon, to show the transformation from what was just basically weeds and erosion to this amazing thing. So other things, we've got our boxed trees. We got a tangerine, it's finally blossoming. Hopefully that means we'll get some tangerines this year. Our Meyer lemon, lots of lemons on there. My broccolini is kind of at the end. We got the rosemary. We got the grocery store green onions that are now in bloom and looking crazy. And some more tomatoes that are in the back there. And yeah, and some volunteer lettuces. They look amazing. I had some lettuce in here a couple of years ago. They went to seed, and now every year I get these little lettuces. Those are looking really perfect and ready to go. So we have some other backyard projects underway that I'm sure I can speak to later, and always have a lot of propagation projects going on. That bee is still snoozing over there. Actually, moving back to the front, I don't know if I've shown this before. This aeonium, I just love that. Look how happy this is here. This one and the Fred Ives. I mean, I got this from, I think from my local nursery. Most of them usually only have 2 heads of aeonium, and I grabbed that one because it had 3. This was the smallest one. Just stuck it in here thinking like, oh, maybe it'll do well. It's just doubled in size. So it is so happy here. And that Fred Ives is so happy here. The Senecio have finally taken off. So one next project is to continue this garden on the hillside here. We have a lot of tree trimming to do. All the trees are just looking really raggedy. So, and then I don't really show my front porch too often, but I'm gonna show it off now because look at these cymbidium orchids. My neighbor gifted me a ton of these, and I have not looked after them the way I should have. But they are so, I mean, look at that. It matches my front door so nicely. Look at these. They're just stunning. They started blooming in February, March, and just, they look awesome. So really nice to have that as the entrance to our house. As usual, lots of projects going on in the propagation station. Where to even begin? There's always something happening, and lots of projects that hopefully I will complete and video and share soon. And with that, I will leave you. This has been the garden in April. I love showing you guys how the garden evolves over the years and over the seasons. It's changed so much since we bought this house about 2.5 years ago. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And of course, subscribe. bye.